Hello everyone. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about being professional. So let's talk about it. So I really want to talk about this topic because I feel like it's important to the people who are going to be graduating either this summer or in the fall or in the winter of this year. And for honestly anyone who works in the workplace or in the labor market. Labor market. So, so professionalism. I really believe that it is important to talk about this idea of professionalism that we have today because I feel like it's not something that we talk about a lot and it's something that is expected of us in the workplace. And of course, there are some things in life that you don't have to talk about, and it's like just a given that everyone just follows or behaves in a certain type of way. But I think it's important to talk about these kind of things, these nuances, um, when it comes to life, because you can be going with the flow when it comes to life, work, things like that, and not really think about it, and it doesn't really align with your values or who you are as a person or how you see yourself. I'm gonna try my best not to destroy the whole idea of professionalism because that is not my goal in this video. And if you do have any questions that you feel like you need answered, because I know that I don't know what questions you'd have in your head, just leave it in the comment section because I think it's important we have a conversation about this. And I'm also having this conversation because I know that it connects with my whole reality right now. And, you know, having just, left the environment where I was expected to be professional and handle things a certain type of way, I think it's important for me to delve into this topic just because I just left this environment and the professionalism in this environment didn't align with who I am as a person and the values that I had for myself or how I saw myself living my life. When it comes to professionalism, I think that we take it too seriously and not serious enough. When I say we take it too seriously, I mean that we take it so serious that we don't even think about it in the way that, oh, this is something serious. Only an authority or a high authority can tell me how to be professional, and their definition of professionalism is what is right. And I couldn't be the one to define what being professional means for me in a professional environment, but whether that be in a workplace or be in your home office or wherever, um, or working with coworkers and stuff like that. And then we don't take it seriously enough because, or we don't take it seriously enough when it comes to how we define it for ourselves. We think that a higher authority needs to define something for us. And I think it is so important for us to define this thing for ourselves, especially for the people who are just coming out of college, or who are about to come out of college. It's not something that, is introduced to us or for the most part, I know that it wasn't introduced to me in my final year of college. And it's something I would have loved to have had a conversation about because it would have prepared me better for the workplace. And there were no workshops that I ever saw that were advertised on my campus talking about things that were relating to the workplace or the labor market. And, just having conversations around this. And when I started working a year after I left college, I was I was really left with a um, surprising reality when it comes to working in the work environment. I've had two different complete like they're completely different from each other, and I didn't expect how much inner conflict I would feel when it came to working in an environment that doesn't align with who I am, or with my purpose or what I want to do with my life, and having to subject myself to like following these rules and these protocols and these requirements and all of these stuff that I didn't agree with. But then on the other hand, I didn't feel confident or I didn't feel comfortable enough to voice my opinions. And also, I had seen a lot in the work environment that even people who had been working in the say so company, their voices were not held as important or valued, and what they had to say wasn't embraced. It was listened to, but it was in one ear and out the other ear, and that didn't really make me feel confident or comfortable as a new employee staff or as a new person coming into the workforce out of college. So I think that for especially the ones for those of you who are just coming out of college, you really need to define what you are willing to accept and willing not to accept when it comes to working in a company. And if you do get a job that you really do love, really, really, really make sure that like those around you are comfortable and confident in voicing their own opinions. Because I feel like this is what makes the work environment more flourish more and thrive more, because there are certain things that a certain person will see that another person won't. And that's very valuable when it comes to growing a company. So going back to professionalism, we don't take our definition. I just really want to emphasize this. We don't take our own definition of professionalism serious enough, because I feel like we're not having enough conversations, like informal conversations around this, and not making it a taboo thing where, professionalism is this and not that. Because there is different looks to professionalism, especially and depending on the environment you're in. Because professionalism in a factory, compared from a factory to a supermarket or to a retail store or to just working in your own home office, it's going to be completely different. Professionalism is going to look completely, completely different. So I think it's so important to have a conversation around this. And yeah, that's what I wanted to say about that. I really think that as a young person, whether you went to college or you didn't go to college, it doesn't matter. If you decide to work for a company and you didn't create this company, I feel like, especially as well, if you did create the company, because it matters in both aspects, that you yourself need to look inside yourself and see what your values are, what makes you feel like what's your integrity, like what makes you integral to the whole part of the process, and like how you uphold your integrity, and also what you're willing to put up with and what you're willing not willing to put up with, and then how are you going to professionally um handle situations that come up, because let me tell you, you're going to come across coworkers or people you work with that you don't get on with on a personal level, and you're going to have to know how to work with that person well enough to get the work done, but then not have issues, because there are some people in the workplace who are going to try and create issues with you, and out of just sheer evilness and just me being honest, and you're going to have to decide, am I going to accept this or am I not going to accept this? And it all boils down to your values and how you see yourself and what you're willing to accept, what you're not willing to accept, what you're willing to tolerate, and what you're not willing to tolerate, and how you perceive yourself to live your life and how you want to live your life. So you really have to really think about what you want for your life on a deeper level. And when you're working for these companies, it does go to a deeper level. And don't get me wrong, I know that sometimes, you just take a job for survival reasons, but then when it comes down to, you're thinking about working for a company in the long term, for the long term, these are questions that you need to actually think about because there are toxic environments, work cultures, toxic companies in general that you just don't want to be working for. And in order to understand what you're bringing yourself into, you have to ask yourself these questions. And the reasons why I know that I need to ask myself these questions, or I know I think about these questions, is because um, I see how important it is to ask yourself these questions because I didn't ask myself these questions when I started at the previous company I just left. And my channel isn't going to be anything about, working and I mean, like anything to do with employment and stuff like that. It's just something that I feel like we need to have a conversation about, and I want us to have a conversation about it. So, yes, we are just going to check what the definition of professionalism is, and I have it here. So, the definition of professionalism is when you type into Google, this is the immediate results that you get relating to or belonging to a profession engaged in a specified activity as one's main paid occupation rather than as a pastime, the competence or skill expected of a professional. And then I went further and I looked at a website just to see, different aspects of what professionalism is defined as. And it is the skill, good judgment, and polite behavior that is expected from a person who's trained to do a job well. And then another definition of professionalism is commonly understood as an individual's adherence to a set of standards, code of conduct, or collection of qualities that characterize accepted practice within a particular area of activity. Now, I myself don't yet have a definition of professionalism, but there are there are things I don't agree with when it comes to certain aspects of what the general vague definition of professionalism is in the work environment. Um, so I want to talk about my experience. So just to be able to relate it. Um, so I'm going to start off talking about my English class. And you're going to think, why is she talking about her English class? Like, what? Okay, the reason why I'm talking about my English class is because in English, that was one of the subjects that I took in secondary school. If you're in America or anywhere else in the world, probably high school. But I remember we were preparing for the final exams, and English was one of those subjects that I just was having a hard time about writing the essays and everything. And I think one of the reasons why I really struggled with English was because I had to be formal, or not even formal, but impersonal. And for me, I just feel like that is a recipe for disaster because you're asking me, as the person writing the paper, to not include I. Yes, I understand it increases your vocabulary, it increases your grammatical, whatever. Um, I just think that this all relates because when you're in English class or you're in school in general, they're basically training you up or feeding you all the necessary trainings that will prepare you for the workforce or employment. And I feel like the reason why I didn't get on English is because I had to be so impersonal that I'm removing or disconnecting from myself as the person who's writing the paper. And I know I have written some really good papers that I just, and then I would get a D and I wouldn't understand. And it's like the ones that I would be personal on and I would make sure that I put I, or I really pour my soul and spirit into would get these. And then the ones where I was so impersonal that I felt like like this isn't me. I'm just following what they're saying I should do, like so I can get an A, are the ones I got an A in. And I just didn't like that. And, that never, ever, ever rubbed right with me. I never, like, deep down, I just never agree with that. And I know you guys are probably thinking, like, why are you thinking so deep about it? I feel like it's something important to talk about that. Like, why are we being made to think that way? Why are we trying to why are they trying to desensitize us from who we are inside? Like, why aren't we allowed to write I in our papers? Like, what does that mean on a deeper level? And yeah, I think I just feel like that is, related to professionalism because when you're in the workforce, we're all supposed to act the same. We're all supposed to act robotic. We're not supposed to care. We're not supposed to have feelings. We're not supposed to be tired or just have all these emotions that are created by working 8 hours of the day every day for 5 days of the week. We're not expected to feel these feelings that are caused by this environment. And to me, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And honestly, then I'm not saying 9 to 5 is a bad thing. That is not what I'm saying. So please don't misinterpret anything I'm saying. When I say what I'm saying, I mean what I say. And what I say, I mean. So take everything I say exactly as what I'm saying. Don't read into it. So I just want to leave that disclaimer there. But I feel like this example of my childhood experience in secondary school or high school is one example that I'm sure many of us have had, and but I just felt on a deeper level. And when I look at my life now, I'm like, this is why I don't get on well with the work environment because I I want to work a meaningful job. I want to pour my soul, pour my heart into what I do, into the work that I do. And I feel like when I am working in the regular 9 to 5, or not in the regular 9 to 5, in the general, you know what I'm talking about, in the general work environment, I'm expected to just leave myself at the door and become this void um, of nothing, which I'm not. I am a very highly sensitive person, a highly intuitive person, and whatever I do, I put my all into. It's all or nothing for me. That's just how I am, and I've learned that over the past few weeks. That's really been aware of being that person, and um, I'm very observant as a person. So that's why I can see things on a much deeper level, and that's why I feel like we need to talk about this. If you guys can hear the wind, it's because my window's open, and I'm sorry, and I can't get up to close it. Sorry. So another thought that I had is professionalism is a way to hide the toxicity that goes on in companies. Why do I say this? I say this because I feel like a lot of these protocols or these rules that they write down are just to protect themselves. And, the HR department is really just created to protect the company. They're not really there to help you. And I learned that the hard way. Like, I had so many problems with the previous company I worked with. And let's just say, like, I read their employee staff, what's it called? I don't even know what it's called. It's like their handbook. Yes, their handbook for ways they deal with stuff. And it's just not in your benefit as an employee to, like, report on things that you feel are being subjected to, and it's harsh things that you go through in the work environment. So, and the reason why I say this is because when higher authority is the one treating you harsh, or coworkers that have been working there for a long time that are held higher than you, that just started, or you've been there for less time than them, you really have to, like, take a step back and look at things objectively and think, like, wow, I really allowing myself to be treated this way? And yeah, I'm hurt. I'm hurt. Don't take this the wrong way. I am hurt. And that's why I'm talking about this, because I don't want you to be hurt. I don't want you to go through what I went through. I really, 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 really don't want anyone to go through what I went through, because, like I said in my other videos, it was traumatic. Very traumatic. Um and I wanted to say something there, but I'm just gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it out. Yeah, so I feel like being unique, being or as someone who embraces their uniqueness, or someone who embraces their authenticity, embraces who they are as a person, not trying to follow the crowd, or who generally is just naturally like that, like me. I just naturally cannot follow trends. Like, my brain doesn't work that way. I don't work that way, have never worked that way. Never ever. Never ever. And if I did try to follow the trend, like I got bored. They were like real quick, really quick. So I feel like professionalism is becoming this thing where everyone needs to be the same. Everyone needs to um, be robotic. Everyone needs to not have feelings. Everyone needs to be void of feelings and emotions, and leave their uniqueness or whatever makes them at the door when they enter the building. And that is just not a way to live. It's just not a way to live at all. And I don't want to accept the general vague definition of professionalism. I want to define it for myself, and I think you should define it for yourself. If that's so, if working in a work environment is what you want for yourself, I think it's important to define those things for yourself and ask yourself those questions. Um, yeah. So that's all I wanted to share, and I hope that you found this video helpful. And if you haven't already watched, like, my other two videos, I'll leave them somewhere in the description box, and you guys can check that out. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.